watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of One-on-One Entertainment with Grayson right here on SKST Radio. And today I have a special guest on the show. Her name is Shira Ali. She is my new Shira. I just love her. I mean, she has just touched my heart. I've only been knowing her for a short while, but I feel like I've been knowing her forever. Shira, welcome to the show.
Oh, Cammy, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I love your intro. I love your holiday message. I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, okay, so Shira, tell people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Shira Ali, and I am the founder of REI Chicks. So REI Chicks is where I offer consulting and coaching and mentoring services for those landlords that are struggling with their real estate business. I'm sure that many of us know people who have kind of had real estate or opportunities kind of dropped in their lap. Maybe they have a family member who has passed away and now they want to get some income from that property, right? And they decide that they're going to be a landlord. But it takes more than just knowing how to collect rent and make some small repairs to make it sustainable. So that's what I do. I show people, I walk them through, hold their hand, walk them through step by step on how to set that up and how to make it sustainable for them. So.
Wow. So how did you get into something like this?
So let's take a trip back.
Okay.
My parents in the 90s, from what I remember, that's the earliest memory I have of it. They were investors. So they bought properties. I'm from New York. They bought properties in New Jersey. I didn't know they were landlords. I just know that on the weekends, we had to make these trips, go to these properties, do repairs, and I was helping them and half playing and doing all of that. So they really planted that seed for me. Okay. On the weekends, on Sundays, we would drive around. My mom would be there with her notebook, writing down as we drove through neighborhoods, checking addresses and writing them down so that we can go back, and she would call and get information for those properties. So this was before all of the internet that you can just go on there and search and look on Zillow and look on the MLS. So we had to do it like boots on the ground, and that's what we did. So that planted really the love of real estate for me, right? And then fast forward in 2005, I got my real estate license. Okay. I was at home with my daughter, right? So I had just had, my daughter was not even a year, but I wanted to do something with myself. I knew that I just didn't want to be home and not doing anything. I'm that type of person that needs to be doing something productive, right? Mm-hmm. So I decided to get my real estate license. During that class, I found out that you could, because I was going to sell homes, right? I thought that's what I knew about real estate, right? Like most people, that's what they know. They know about sales people, right? So in the class, they had a short segment that they talked about property management. And they said, you can get a steady paycheck. That's something that I needed at that time.
Right?
Something I needed. So I said, you know what? My daughter's small. I would love to do this sales thing, but I need this money. So I still went through the course, and I didn't know really what was in store for me. I was so excited after I passed. I was working at a construction company. And I went and I was telling my colleagues, I was like, yeah, I got my real estate license. And I was so excited, right? And one of the ladies told me, she said, oh, my husband, he works at it's a residential company, but he worked there. And maybe he can, he has a position available. I was like, oh my gosh. So she connected us. Long story short, I stayed with that company for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've seen him throughout the years. And, he's always just been so proud, to say like, wow, look where you started. I started as like a leasing agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my 9 to 5 now, as I'm a regional, So that's how the progression. And when you have people that kind of support you, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
support is really you having the ambition, and then that additional support is can't beat it.
Priceless. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. So tell us about REI Chicks. How did you get started with that business?
Okay, so that's really the how that seed was planted. But
Okay.
also looked at doing me being a property manager for so long, and knowing I have all this expertise, right? But then you see the average everyday person who that's not their regular day job, right? These opportunities kind of fall into their lap. They have a property that maybe they've moved out of. They have something they want to rent.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it happen with my close family members, even my dad. I'm sad to say, but even my dad has had bad experiences with trying to do it himself. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
don't have the experience to do it. So I really looked at that and saw that I was getting questions and constantly getting people asking me the same questions. So I decided to, um, start a consulting business. And I have a true love and passion for training and mentoring. That is where I come alive. That is my love. I love to do it. Right. I
Right.
think we've worked together. So,
I mean,
that's what I
yeah,
love.
you have the niche for it, and so I think you I think the world of you. I mean, I can't even express how made me feel safe. You made me feel not intimidated. I think you just you have the knack. You really have the spirit for it.
Yes. It's
Really have
in
the spirit for it.
I don't think that's to necessarily train people on. Like you can train people to train, but you can't train them to love it. And there's some people who are just naturally that way. So the difference. We've all worked with different people who have trained.
Hmm.
It wasn't what we expected, and we didn't get as much out of it. I want people to get as much out of the experience as possible. So I'm very patient. And that's what I do. So we kind of walk through. So I really want to see people have the information, because a lot of people are not aware that there's a different way that they should be doing things, right? Until you put that information in front of them, they're not aware. And me, as being a person of color, when you look around the real estate industry, you don't see many people like us.
Yeah.
So that is something that I'm very passionate about as well, helping people get in the door, whether they're starting with small property. And I'm also going to be rolling out a program where I help people who want to get started in property management. So if you want to be a property manager and work for a property management firm, I'm going to be working on a program for that also.
Nice.
But it's just giving the people access to the information and kind of walking them through. So that's how that was born. And I invest in I manage my own real estate portfolio. So why not, show somebody else how to.
Exactly. So what about a small business owner if they want to prepare for leasing a space? What would they do?
So I know that typically I talk to landlords, but in this case, you asked me to kind of give some tips to small business owners. So we'll focus on that. It's an important question because people don't really give much thought to what they're going to do. They know that they have this love for their business, and that's all they know, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So it's important because you need to first determine if you really need a space. And I don't think a lot of people do that. They just know that, maybe that's the next step that they think to scaling their business.
Mhm.
I know you've probably run into that where they feel like, okay, in order for me to be a business owner now, I need a space. I need a brick and mortar space.
Mhm.
But they've been working maybe out of their home, maybe online for some time and being successful. But in their eyes, the building makes them successful. Have you
Exactly.
seen that?
Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah. So I've seen it, and I can give you some examples. So I had their properties right in Virginia Beach. One lady was a clothing operator. She had very nice pieces. She did like a custom service where she kind of styled you, like she was kind of like stylist, like she was doing a hybrid thing. And she did that for years out of her home. And then she decided to get this space. It didn't last a year. And she took out loans to purchase the product to renovate the space, right? And it didn't last. So she ended up having to file bankruptcy.
Wow.
And another one was a cupcake operator. These are the two that stood out in my mind because they were doing so well before they got into those spaces. Cupcake operator, she was selling out of her home, and I guess that wasn't prestigious enough, maybe, I don't know. But she decided to get this space, and it didn't last. I know it wasn't more than 2 years, so she lost that. And you lose. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad because you put everything into it. People save up and put a lot of their life savings into this dream, right? And then that's what happened. So just make sure that you really understand that you need a space, and you've done that due diligence to make sure that that's the right thing for you. Making sure that even if you don't have a full business plan, that you understand your budget and that you stick to it. I had a friend who was just looking for a space. She wants to open a spa, and she just knew that she wanted a space. She didn't have, the budget wasn't good. So if she saw this space, she liked it. If she saw this space, just make sure that if you have a budget, that you stick to it, no matter if you think that's the dream space and that's the only space that you could ever make sure that you have a budget and you stick to it, really.
So what are some of the questions that a small business owner should ask the leasing agent when they're looking?
They should ask them questions. First, I want to say that preparation is key, right? When I said, and I want to make sure you don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in the lease, right? Because that's what those people did. They lost themselves, their business, and everything in that lease. Remember that I'm going to get to the questions, but remember that the landlord needs you as much as you need them.
Okay.
So I've seen people that are new business owners. They're intimidated. They don't want to ask too many questions. They don't want to rock the boat too much. They really want that space, and they're happy someone gave them an opportunity. They need you too. That's business for them. It's a business. You're their customer. So they need you too. So ask questions. You can ask who the landlord is, right? Who the property management company is. All of those things make a difference. Make sure that you're clear on the landlord and tenant responsibility, right? Making sure that you do that you ask the agent if you can do an inspection, right, of the property.
That's a good one.
Those are really key. And then I forgot to mention this earlier, but making sure that you have a team, your own team, that can guide you and that can consult for you, because the landlord has that on their side most times. If they're sophisticated landlord, they have that. So they have an attorney that's drafting that lease. Make sure that you have someone that can look at those documents as well, right? I know you've probably seen a lot of that also firsthand with people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest thing that my pet peeve is, one, no business plan. And you mentioned that. And then the other one is not reading, not reading those documents. And that's what get most of the people to. That's what I see. And that's what I try to instill in the customer when they come. Hey, read these documents. No rush. Just read over them. Ask questions. And some people still don't get it.
Yeah, make sure that you do that. And don't don't lean on what you hear the broker say, right? Or the leasing agent say.
Mm-hmm.
In real estate, if it's not in writing, it did not happen. They can tell you anything when you are touring that space, but making sure that you know and that you see it in black and white what they are telling you. If they say you're going to get 2 months free, make sure that that is in there, because then when it's not, that's done. And the case is closed. Once, for the most part, once the leasing agent is done, they have signed, you are in, it moves on now. So now it moves on to the property manager. And now we're trying to figure out what happened with that negotiation. What was the intent? So,
Right.
mhm.
Right. What are the biggest pitfalls that you see in small business making?
That's important. What you said, people that they don't read the documents, even if they do read it, they don't
Comprehend.
if they don't understand something, they just let it go. So make sure that you understand the language that they are using. And if you don't understand, ask them to explain it to you, and also do your own due diligence and look at things. Making sure that when they use terms like triple nets, understanding what that is. People don't necessarily understand all of the costs that are involved with leasing a space. They think rent. What about the common area fees, your taxes, insurance? Landlords typically, for retail spaces, those things are passed through, and the triple nets. Making sure that you understand those things. Like I said, making sure that you're doing an inspection, not that you're only inspecting the unit physically, but that you're having someone inspect the mechanical equipment. Because if you're responsible for that, and that goes back into you understanding the lease and what you're responsible for, because when things are wrong, that equipment is very expensive. I see many tenants who sign leases, they take it as is, right?
Right.
Then that something goes wrong with it, and the lease says as is. There's no warranty on that equipment. If it has to be like, how can I have to replace this? This stays with the building. You're right, but you didn't put that in your lease.
Right. You're responsible.
You're responsible for replacing it or repairing it, and that can be what, 8, 10, 15,000, 20. Like it depends on the size of the unit. So you just want to make sure that you are doing your due diligence, making sure that you're having an attorney review it, so that the language complements your business as well, and it's fair to both sides. And just making sure that you're understanding everything that's in there. And anything you don't understand, raise your hand and ask. Make sure that you have the proper insurance for your business. Make sure that typically the leases outline what you have to have, but making sure you have that, because another thing is business owners who are not thinking forward a lot of times. So we all know we got hit with this pandemic. Nobody could have predicted that, right?
Right.
But the things that you can predict, right? So the things that you can look at your business. I had an operator who was taking over a business, pizza operator. I really liked it. He's been operating for a long time. And what he said, he said, can I, is it possible for me to add a kind of a roll up door or something on this space? It's a inline retail space. I thought that was a very good question. What we're going through. He knows that a lot of people want to have access to outdoor eating or feel like they do, right? So he asked those questions before. Those are the type of things. Think about 5 years, 10 years down the line.
Yeah, the growth and development. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at that. Don't just think for today. And one thing an interview do you know who Dame Dash is?
No.
Okay, Dame Dash is I can't say he's a rapper. I guess he was a producer. He's from New York, right?
Okay.
He's from New York, right? But he did this interview that it stuck with me. It's a very popular interview that's on the Breakfast Club morning show, right? And I don't necessarily agree with all of the things that he talks about, but he said in that interview, and it stuck with me, that he's like, I am working for my last name, not my first, right? So when you are thinking about the things that you're doing in your business, don't just think for right now, right? Think about, how is this going to be sustainable? Is this the right business move for me? Is this going to make sense 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 100, right?
Right.
Look at all these things that we have today, right? Look at like JP Morgan, look at Ford, right? These are last name, Marriott, Hilton. These people forward thinking. Your business may be small now, but making sure that you're putting things in place that's going to make it sustainable and that's going to make sense for you. That's really where it is. So do your due diligence, have your team, make sure you ask tons of questions. I mean, don't think that you're bothering. That's their job.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, and you know, people don't think about that at all. You know, it's just kind of living for the moment.
Yep. And especially a lot of people from our community, a lot of times they're just so happy to have someone show them a space, right?
Right.
Have them open a space and lease a space to them, that they don't see that. Make sure that they do their work to make sure it's the right thing for them.
Right.
I see it all the time.
Yeah. Now, Shira, this is not listed on your questions here, but what, I don't even know how I want to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm leasing a space and it's not working out for me and I decide I'm just going to walk away, what are the consequences from that?
So you have typically options. So landlords, especially now that we're going through this pandemic, have been more forgiving in this area. They will typically try to get maybe a termination fee from you if they can. So maybe they'll ask you to pay 10, 15, 20,000 to buy out your lease, and that's it. You're done, right? You could also just ask that, tell them that you're going to go dark and you're going to move out. I would always try to make sure you're upfront. Maybe you're trying to set up a payment plan with them. Keep the communication open through the whole process. Don't, your integrity in this business, in the business world, right? It's so important. So really making sure that you're just keeping the communication open. If you cannot pay, I mean, it happens, right?
Right.
Let them know. And, make sure they have your contact information. Make sure you're not like ducking and dodging their calls. Do the right thing, because you don't know. A lot of times people don't realize, we talk about this, people don't realize this owner here may have a part ownership in this space and in this space. So when you try to maybe leave this space to maybe say you're going to go over here, you don't know who knows who. And, so it's just the best thing to do. Make sure you keep that communication open. I make sure I open up my line to any tenant that's, and even my own tenants, residents, however you want to label it, make sure that the communication is open. So I make sure that people can talk to me, and that's important. Right. So that's what you can do. What do you have any suggestion on that? Anything different or something else to add?
No, I mean, you hit all of it on point. Communication is key. And just don't get in over your head. I mean, going back to your business plan, all that works hand in hand. Do the research before you actually dive into getting a space.
Right.
And so you hit it dead on. So do you have any resources that you could recommend for people?
So I think the Small Business Administration is going to be a good one, right? SBA. Another one is, and SBA, they have different grants, loans. A lot of people know it from all of the grants and things that went out.
The pandemic.
Last year, making sure that you go there. They have a lot of resources there for different things you can apply for. And so a lot of them are forgivable.
Mhm.
Score.org is another one that you can visit, a website you can visit and a resource. So they will pair you with a mentor that's in your industry. And it's free of charge. So you
Nice.
can also do that. And they typically do those consultations, through virtually,
Mhm.
an hour or so, but you can go through that. And I believe you can also, they have some attorneys that also work with the program. So if you are a small business owner and you need someone maybe to help or look at a document, I believe their attorneys can help you with that. And they do that all like pro bono work for small business owners. So that's another resource. If you don't have someone who can review it, because don't let that be a maybe thing. Make that be something that you absolutely put on your must-do list, that you have someone that is reviewing this professionally. Another book that I'm actually reading this book right now, and it's really good. Have you heard of Profit First?
No.
Mike Michalowicz. I'm doing the audible version, and he's
Mhm.
he's not just reading it like, yes, I'm doing that. He's like so like, he's so
Mhm.
charismatic when he's reading it. And he's really talking about how you put profit first in your business. And a lot of the things that we do in our business, I do it too. Maybe you do it. I spend money on things. Is that absolutely necessary for me to run this business?
Mhm.
Not everything, So he really helps you to make sure that you're paying yourself first. And he has a whole system. So that's a good one.
Oh, I need to read that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's really good. I don't know how the actual hard copy, but if you have Audible, when you're driving around, you can
Mhm.
listen to it. It's good. And I'll send you the information. I don't know. Do you have show notes where you can link that information after this is?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'll send you his information. I'll email it to you so you can
Okay.
link that there.
That'd be great.
Let me see what else. Um, hmm. I really want to, let me say this. I can be a resource too. If you do have a question and you want to email me, you can put my information in the show notes also.
Okay. Okay.
So if people have specific questions or something I didn't cover here, because this is kind of like a real high level overview. And if you have a specific situation, we can kind of talk through that. And
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, how do you feel? I don't know if you could come back a few times, maybe once or twice a month, because we do know you have your own things that you're working on as well. So we would love to keep up with that and also give people the opportunity because we're doing more networking now, getting more back out in the community. And I think this is a plethora of information that these new businesses need.
Mhm. I want to see people succeed. I like to see people succeed. So
Yeah.
anything I could do to help, I'm happy to do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, Shira, well, as we get ready to close down this interview, what type of nuggets can you give someone who's trying to get started in doing the same things that you're doing?
One thing that I'm going to say is that very key for me is making sure that I have mentors or femtors.
Femtors. All right.
Yes, I have two great, and I have had more, but two that I'm very, very close to. And they have been instrumental in making sure that they are there to support and not always, it's not always that it's all like roses and gumdrops. They are real with me and they tell me when you mess up, when I mess up, they tell me, but it's that tough love that has made it like work.
Right.
So I'm thinking definitely a mentor, if you can, somebody that is doing what you want to do, and look at that relationship as not only they're going to be a mentor to you, but also like a give back relationship. What can you do? What can you help them with? What can you add to them?
Right.
It's not just a take, so that's
It's a give and take. Exactly.
the give and take.
Absolutely.
Give and take. So make sure that you look at that. And also, I just want to remind everyone, I know like you, me, my business is my baby, my other baby, right? Right? It's your baby. But don't
Exactly.
let that make you lose everything. Make sure that you're caring for it, you're nurturing it in the right way, you're doing all those things that you would do with your real baby, not just piling it dead on top of it and this overhead on top of it. Make sure you're doing it and nurturing it in the right way.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
Be a student, right? Be open to feedback, criticism, all of those things. So I think those are the things I've had to kind of work through over the years to get where I am now.
Right. A career student. You always have to be a career student, no matter how old you are, no matter how young your femtor or mentor is. Career student.
Yeah.
You're a career student. Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you learn. You're always learning. I don't say I've been doing property management for 20 years, so I don't, no, I'm open to everything. And I know you've showed me things, and I'm like, okay, now I can go back and show it to somebody else, Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you open up your life to help me, that just really, it's set well on my heart because, people are given. I mean, because like what you said before, it's not many of us out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you find someone, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, because it is a cutthroat world. It is. I mean, and I've seen it from firsthand. It's a cutthroat world. And to have someone willing to show you and give you these nuggets of wisdom, it's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
So my hats are off to you and what you're doing. I'm praying for your success. I'm there for you, whatever you need, however big or small. I'm there for you. You got me in your corner for life. Can't get rid of me like that. I'm like the gum on the bottom of your shoe.
You are so sweet, and I really want to thank you for opening your platform to me, to give me this opportunity to speak to your audience. And I want to be as gracious with them as I can. So definitely I will give you my information. If anyone has questions, I will definitely make sure I'm there to help them.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Shira, thank you so much. And this is not goodbye because we want you on the show again to really, really make it. I want it to be like a normal thing, so we know that it's time for Shira to come on. We need to get her on the show. And so don't be a stranger. We love you so much. And whatever we can do to help with what you're doing to be successful, we're here for you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. I hope to see you guys soon.
We will. Until next week, guys. Talk to you later. Real talk right here. Cammie Grayson and Miss Shira right over there. Y'all have a good one. Happy holidays.
Happy